Anxiety in tech.
So you're scrolling on LinkedIn and one of your previous interns just got into Google, or a colleague of yours just got into Jane Street and is on 500K before bonuses. Maybe you've spent the past few years learning to code and this guy got a job in 4 months. You could even be a junior developer who's struggling. Software engineering can be such an anxiety-inducing field because of...
You know, I must have got really lucky due to how oblivious I am of how the world works. I just was in college and I just like worked and I tried my best and I built my own projects and I just did that for 5.5 years. I'm not a doctor. It turns out I failed a couple times due to LSD and other activities that are not on my radar anymore. And I just never really thought about anything. You know, I just kept doing stuff that I really enjoyed. And then we had a career fair and I went to the career fair and then I just got a job. I know that's kind of boring, but I never really, I don't know what happened. This does sound tough, though. I think that in today's world, with how you get like the continuous positive only updates on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, it's really, really hard. You know what I mean? It's really, really hard because you only see the positive things of these people, right? You have this 6-month intern who's now making more than you. It just feels unfair. You know what I mean? I could totally get that. And someone said, hey, it's just luck. It's more than just luck. I also worked 80 hours a week, every single week, producing, making my abilities better and better and better. And when opportunity was available, I crushed out everybody. Okay? It's not just luck. I hate that phrase. Luck is not 80 hours a week for 4 years. That's not the same. It's just not the same. Work hard. When you're trying to get somewhere, you just got to get to the point where someone wants to hire you. You know, it's opportunity meets preparation. That's what luck is.
Of two pivotal reasons. One are social reasons, and that's developers do a lot and they post a lot on the internet. So you see a lot of developers posting their open source projects, their career achievements, and it just makes you feel bad because you're not doing anything outside of work. But then there's this other side of anxiety.
I think that's true. I think that that can be hard, especially if you're only on the internet just to lurk. Like, I could see this being really, really hard, right? The one where you're only on the internet to lurk and you're not actually doing anything with your skills, especially if you're only doing a 9 to 5. I could see that this is like that would be really hard. You're just seeing everybody else doing something and you're wondering what's happening. Or maybe you don't even have a 9 to 5, but you're just waiting for someone to hire you. I could see that being really, really hard. You know? Thank you, Zika.
Where you feel like the code you're producing isn't good enough. You'll get judged at work for being too dumb or inefficient, or you don't feel like you're good enough to interview yet, and you're just holding yourself back. So I'm gonna deal with
that mentality. I'm just gonna be real with you. Just go against it. No matter how bad it feels, just go against it. Always seek discomfort. If you seek discomfort, life will get easier. You know, there's this old quote by C.S. Lewis that goes something along the lines of, like, if all you seek in life is comfort, wait, hold on. If what you seek in life is truth, you may find comfort in the end. But if all you seek is comfort, all you'll find is soft soap and wishy-washiness and ultimately despair in the end, right? Like, there's this thing that you have to really, you can't just want life to be comfortable. And it's hard. It's super hard.
With each of these because I've been through both of them. And I'll start with social anxiety. And fundamentally, there's just two ways to approach social anxiety in software engineering, and they divagate on very different paths. The first approach is you're anxious, but you want to be better. Don't wait to be good enough to start
I like that.
doing something. This could be content creation, applying to jobs, making your first project. The point is to make the most atomic start possible. So for example, if you want to do content creation, don't start off with YouTube. That's going to be a bit too overwhelming. Maybe start off with blogging on Medium and then start making a few YouTube shorts or a smaller form of YouTube video.
We may disagree with the exact steps there, but that's really good advice. Start with something small, do it. Nothing has to be perfect. Just get after it. I will always say never, you should find what your strength is. Some people are really good at writing, and if you're a writer, blog. But if you hate writing, don't blog. You'll never do it. You'll just never do it. I hate writing. I will just never do it. Even with ChatGPT, which makes writing infinity times easier, I will literally never do it. You know what I mean? So, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. And if you don't know them, discover them.
These tiny movements eventually compound into something much bigger. And it's the same with programming. You don't start off by building the next Twitter. You start off by printing a pyramid in Java, and you slowly...
That was literally mine. I printed a pyramid in Java. Let's go.
Slowly build on top of that every time you get better. Content creation, programming, open source contributions, these things take time. Another tip I'd like to give you is if you're a bit socially introverted and you want to start going to conventions or meetups in your area, don't start with the meetups. Maybe that's a bit too overwhelming. You could go and start with online communities, maybe just responding to YouTube comments, slowly.
This is another one of those points where I kind of disagree. I think you gotta face your fears. That's a me approach. I got pretty bullied in high school, so I had this like really hard time talking and doing things. Right, I was a really nervous person. I would have like uncontrollable sweat and stuff like that, and I really felt like I just had such intense social like anxiety. And the only thing really to get me out of that was to do the thing I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? And so the hard part about something like Discord is there's no body language. There's no interaction. And that's really, really difficult. I think if anything, sometimes the online communities, they fuel social anxiety. They make it worse. Because you get all the experiences of being social without all the difficulties of being social. You know what I mean? And so I do think it can be a little bit tricksy. And honestly, if you're not very good at being social and all that, some just quick pro tips. Take a shower. Put on some deodorant. Wear a hoodie with the shirt underneath. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but real talk, that's how I started. The reason why I did that is because I used to sweat a whole bunch. And you know what? There's no sweat marks anymore. But I would literally just like sweat through my stuff, and and you feel, and the worst part is once you know that you're sweating and you're seeing it, you feel worse. It's like your anxiety doubles, and then you're just like freaking out, and it just makes life 1,000 times harder. You know what I mean? So prepare yourself, right? The downward spiral, absolutely, dude. It's the worst positive feedback ever.
Migrate over to Discord, maybe slowly migrate over to another community. The point is you want to find the smallest start you can make. You want to find the equivalent of just opening up VS Code for any activity that you're doing. But then there's a different side to this. And let's say you don't care about any of this. You don't want to get better.
I've never seen that. Oh my goodness.
You're doing.
I was laughing, of course, at VS Code. I don't know if you saw that. Can you believe this loser using VS Code? What a loser.
For any activity that you're doing. But then there's a different side to this. And let's say you don't care about any of this. You don't want to get better. To you, software development is just a means.
By the way, great quote here. Who said this? Comparison is the thief of joy. Was it Teddy Roosevelt that said that? I can't remember who was the initiator of this phrase, but I remember it was someone I did not expect.
To an end, and you want to spend your free time doing something else. Let me be the first to tell you that that's fine. Software development is just a job. I'm not sure where I missed the memo that being a developer is like being a samurai warrior where you have to have lifelong commitment at getting better and being the best possible and getting into Fang. I don't know, I may have...
So here's the hard part about that. Like, what I always worry with this advice, because in some sense I completely agree I completely agree with this statement. Like, you don't have to make it your life. Absolutely, 100%. The hard part about this statement is that there are thousands upon tens of thousands upon tens of thousands of people who are willing to do that. And when a company goes to hire, when a company goes and puts you against all these people, it is really, really hard to compete. And so there is something to that. I'm not trying to be a mean guy here, but I just be kind of careful about some of those things, Like, I think that you got to figure out what, where do you want to try to get to? What is important to you? If it's just having a job, well, then you got to do what it takes to get to that point. And then once you get to that point, maybe it's time for you to do whatever else you wanted, That's up to you. Totally up to you. If you don't find any joy in the art of programming, then don't find any joy in it. You don't have to, right? I just think it's hard to keep on being successful as time moves forward. Because, since I started programming, which is not that long ago, there was no such thing as Docker, right? There was no such thing as Edge, serverless. There was no such thing as classes in JavaScript. There was just prototypical bullshit that you had to deal with, right? It is life changes so fast. It makes it so hard to keep up. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, jQuery ain't cool anymore. It's a whole learning curve. You know what I mean? Okay, boomer. It is. I'm a boomer. Okay, when I was young, TCP was cool and people liked jQuery. Now look at me. UDP's awesome and nobody likes jQuery. Okay, it's hard. Life is hard and it changes on you. TCP is still cool? No, it ain't. Okay? No, it ain't. Everyone knows Quick is way cooler. Okay, Quick. It doesn't even have a K in it. It's so quick.
I missed that memo. But if for you, software development is just a job, you just want to get paid, clock in 9 to 5, do your thing, clock out, spend your time however you want to with your family, on your hobbies, you shouldn't let any of this make you feel guilty.
This is a really beautiful picture. I don't know who was this funny, but this is really, really funny. Okay, one more thing about this kind of whole statement, this whole section. There is also the unfortunate side of this kind of mentality, which is that there's a lot of really cool jobs out there in programming. And there's also a lot of soul-sucking jobs out there in programming. I'm just saying that not all things are that enjoyable. My very first job, I hated so much. I hated it. I hated it. And it was tough. It's tough. And I couldn't imagine, even the idea of only clocking in, clocking out. It was in .NET. It was in .NET, to be fair. I'm just saying.
I'm doing this because I like programming. This is what I would do in my spare time over anything else. Similarly for you, you can do other things in your spare time. Don't feel anxious about it. Don't let content creators on LinkedIn, YouTube make you feel guilty for not wanting to improve yourself.
This does feel like a slight direct attack against me, but I know it's not. I'm sure he's a great guy. Okay, Big Box Sweet. I appreciate you. We just have different approaches, I think, in general to life. And second off, content creators on LinkedIn should be considered some sort of ironic nature. Just throwing it out there. Okay, just throwing it out there.
Are content with the way things are. Don't let other people make you feel anxious. It's completely fine to just treat this like a job. Now, the second kind of anxiety I want to talk about is more technical. And it's development-related anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a junior developer and you're assigned a task, but the code base is huge. You don't want to ask a bunch of questions and seem dumb.
We've all been
Maybe you're
here.
anxious about the code you're going to write itself. What if your solution isn't the best? What if you look dumb to other devs? You watch tutorials, you look for answers on Stack Overflow, but eventually in this chain, you end up producing nothing. Let me tell you.
There's literally no way around it. You gotta look dumb. Sorry, you gotta look dumb. Everyone looks dumb. Everyone's been dumb. I still look dumb. I look dumb from time to time. You know what? Sometimes I look at the code I wrote just a couple weeks ago and I think, man, how dumb was I? Look at how bad that code is, right? It's okay to be dumb. We're all dumb. We all produce dumb code from time to time. If you use Copilot, you just produce dumb code faster with unrequited bug delicious coming out of you, okay? Just real talk. It's okay to look dumb. It's okay. Look dumb. It's okay. If anyone makes you feel bad for looking dumb, it's because they look dumb so much that they hate that they just hate the mirror. That's all it is. That's all it is. Anyone that doesn't like it, they just hate the mirror. That's all.
You're not alone. I was exactly like that when I was a junior dev. And what I found is the pivotal philosophy of programming: iteration. Programming is iterative. When you ask your first dumb question,
Wheel of
you'll
Time
know that
reference.
it's dumb.
Okay, it
With
wasn't, but
anything
it could be.
programming related, it's not about how much you know, but it's about how many times you've done the thing. So, for example, the first time you wanted to print "Hello World," say
Theo reference. You become better programmer by being a bad programmer. Absolutely. This is actually one of Theo's best takes. I think even when I saw this, I tweeted this and said, "This is Theo's best take." I really think this is Theo's best take, which is you apply this to anything in life. You start off really bad at anything you do.
10 times, you probably copy-pasted console log. Over time, you learn that you can just use a for loop. Similarly, these bigger problems like handling tasks at work, or building your first project, or starting to contribute on open source, you should look dumb, because if you're not feeling dumb 90% of the time, you're not growing. The point here is
I heard 69% of statistics are made up on the spot.
don't think about how anything makes you look. A dumb question, bad code. Focus on solving the problem and how you're going to solve the next one even better. And that's all programming is. It's a bunch of small, concentrated iterations on improving your code and the way you think. Thank you for your time. I'm Big Box.
Hey, subscribe to Big Box. That was a nice video by him. Great video. Hit that button. Okay, boom. I just did it. Then hit the thumbs up right afterwards because it makes him feel good. This was a great video. This was a very good video. It addressed some good things. I think a lot in our culture were very, very... Oh, did I get a raid? Hold on. Sorry, I must have missed a raid. It looks like it's from Christoph. Hey, thank you, Christoph. But real talk, I think one thing that you should worry a tiny bit about dumb questions. And what I mean by that is take a moment to research. That's all I'm saying. What you should do, this is kind of like my general thing that I do, is before I ask a question, I find something that blocks me. So then what I do is I go through and I walk back and I kind of go through and I look at what happened. And then I try to come up with 2 points or 3 points or 1 point that I tried to get over this problem, but I didn't understand it. And then when that didn't happen, I go and I present the problem. Hey, like, I don't really get this. I tried this. It didn't do that. I tried looking at that. It also didn't make any sense. And then this last part, I really didn't understand either. Can you walk me through this? Like, that's what I do. It's not a dumb question. I simply am admitting defeat. Uncle, say uncle, say uncle. I admit defeat. I can't do it. And there we go. Like, I just think it's that easy. You don't look bad when you do that. You only look bad when you ask a question that would have taken 3 seconds to look at the code, right? If you just go, what's this function for, right? And you provide nothing else, you look lazy. You don't look stupid, you look lazy. And there's a huge difference. There's a world of difference between looking lazy and looking stupid. No one cares if you look stupid. Everybody cares when you look super lazy, okay? There's a big difference. And you should just know those two. And it takes a little bit of time to kind of fine tune what that looks like. Some things are inherently complex, and you should just go to ask questions sooner. It's okay, right? Like when you find a preprocessor macro in C that references another preprocessor macro in C, just time to ask a question. It's just time to get in there and be like, yo, dog, there's a lot of macros here. You want to kind of explain this a little bit? You do that. It's a little easier. And you can be both. You can be both. But again, I don't care if a question's dumb. I don't care. I care if a question's lazy, right? Like, it just makes a big difference. If someone, like, when someone asks you a question that's, clearly like, use your LSP, where's this function used? You're like, dog, did you find references? Like, what do you mean? Right? Like, what do you mean? How, like how does this bitmap thing work? Did you try Googling the link right above the function that says this is how it works, right? Like, did you just go there and click the link, right? Sometimes LSP fails, definitely. You should know when your LSP fails. So that way you don't ask a question of my LSP fails, right? You ask a question of, I know what I'm doing here. LSD? No, not LSD. Completely different. That's my only thing. Honestly, long as you do that, I personally don't care. Long as you gave it a try, you couldn't figure it out, walk me through it. That's it. That's good. That's good. We should all want that, right? We should all want that. And I think it's really, really good. And I think it's a lot of fun, Just ask Tom. Always ask Tom, And here you go. Here's actually a question that actually feels like it's in the same vein as this video, which is I find myself having difficulty getting noticed by recruiters and HRs. With thousands of applicants for every job, it feels like I'm wasting time learning and trying to improve instead of just trying to stand out. And I'm not sure how to do that. Well, the problem is standing out is by learning and improving. You have to do something with that. Danny, I don't know if you know him, Danny Thompson, I believe. I don't know his exact Twitter handle, D Thompson, I think. Either way, he had a Twitter space this weekend, and he was talking about the projects and all that and how to get hired. The thing is the reason why you do projects, it's not because someone's going to look at that project and go, oh, yeah, hire that person for that project. Probably not. But what it's really good is that when you get the chance to talk to somebody, you control the conversation. You jump in there and you steer it. They go, hey, tell me something that you worked on that you found hard. Now you have like a whole thing you can talk about, and you can go harder. You can talk about all this. You can talk about where you fail. You show them passion. You show them excitement. You show them that you're actually doing something, and then you're going to make it to the next one, right? It's very, very, it's very important. And that's a huge thing, is that getting in front of an interviewer, getting in front of an HR, that's a completely different story. Huge percentage of that is by referral. Real talk, I've referred a few people from this community, and how I referred them is by their interaction with me. Someone just had a Netflix interview like 2-3 days ago, or sorry, it's the weekend. Today's Monday. It would have been like 5 days ago, because while I was doing a project, they started bouncing some things off me, started talking about it, and I go, oh, you really know what you're doing. Hey, we have a position open. You wanna interview for that? Boom, right? And that just makes perfect sense. That's how things happen. A huge amount is referrals. And so there is a part to that. Anyways, there you go. Didn't you quit Netflix? No. Well, yes, then no. Yes, then no. Please make your resume fit on one page. Also that's just like easy, simple advice, right? Don't hand somebody like a biography. This is my autobiography. When I was 14, I worked at Starbucks, 2.4 years. And then after working at Starbucks, I also spent some time at Subway. I was a sandwich engineer, okay? That's my first engineering job, I like to say. Personally, that's where I like to say it. Engineer experience right there. That's where I really learned the fundamentals of UX, user experience, okay? I like to call it SX for not sex, because that's not what was happening. It's actually sandwich experience. Like, just stop it. Stop it. The name is the Primeagen.